Hello and welcome to the Animation Essay Podcast. I'm Julia Smuts Louw, and this month I'm talking to Ned Lott, casting and voice director of many beloved Disney titles, not to mention the entire suite of Studio Ghibli English translations. Currently, Ned is working with Triggerfish on the voices for their new feature, SEAL Team, directed by Greek Cameron. We talked with Ned about the subtle arts of ADR and how a no from Vangelis kickstarted his audio career. Enjoy.
So I've come from Los Angeles, and I have worked for Triggerfish Animation Studios since about 2010. So I worked on the movie Zambezia first, and then Kumba, and now I'm here for SEAL Team.
Great. And how's it been third time around?
It's been fantastic. I love coming to Cape Town. I love the staff at Triggerfish. You know, I've got to know a lot of people really well, and meeting all the new animators, and now it's great giving them the audio that they can start animating to.
Yeah. And
seeing the excitement kind of build around the studio. So that's really exciting.
Awesome. Do you find that this being the third feature with Triggerfish, has there been anything big that's changed in the way that you approach voice directing and voice casting over the course of the three features?
Well, the first two features, they didn't have the budget at the beginning to hire the final actors. So we used a lot of scratch actors, and on this particular movie, we're actually able to hire the main actors first time. So before, it was all scratch, so that animate to the scratch, and then we'd do ADR later with the main actors. In this one, we got to record the main actors first, so now they get to animate to them.
Yeah, that's a testament, to the growing clout of Triggerfish and South African animation in the industry.
Exactly.
But you mentioned a little bit about your background. Maybe we should also just start there.
So when I was in college, my goal was to go to Hollywood, and I wanted to immediately go there, like graduate from college and go to Hollywood and start. And it was going to be live action, and I wanted to either direct or produce or write music.
Wow.
And so what ended up happening is, after college, I got a job not in Hollywood. My mother had met somebody who needed somebody to do an independent movie with a missionary organization over in, I ended up getting to go to the Philippines and Taiwan and El Salvador and Europe. And I literally went around the world for like four years.
Wow.
And it was fantastic because we were making movies with just two people.
And what ages was? What age were you then?
So I was just out of just out of college.
That's a great age to travel
fantastic.
the world. Yeah.
So I was traveling the world. I was making these really creative things, and learning really the process. We were using music illegally for our presentations because no one told me you couldn't. Because I'm just out of college, right?
Yeah, ignorance is bliss.
and all of a sudden, do you remember there was a songwriter, Vangelis, who
I remember
he wrote
Vangelis.
Chariots of Fire, right?
Yeah, he wrote a
and
lot
so
of stuff.
we wanted
Blade Runner as well.
Blade Runner, right? So we wanted to use his music and someone said, you should really like ask his permission. And it was like, oh, of course, So we contacted him, and he said, no, you can't use my music.
Fair, he's been around the block.
Right, and that changed my life. Because I was a synthesizer player, and I was in a band, and I had a music partner who I called him up, who had all the gear. I said, hey, you want to start writing music for scoring for documentaries? And so that's what we did.
Wow.
So we said, if Vangelis is saying no to us, well, let's do our own music. And so then I started composing music for years.
Amazing.
And I even, we started writing songs. And to this day, I'm writing songs for movie, like end credit parts where once the movie ends, you sometimes want a song there.
And you pick up some of the themes from the...
So we're writing songs for that. So that literally changed my life by having him say no.
That's amazing.
And then when I learned to voice direct, was we would have to talk to these missionaries and get them to share their stories. So they'd be in like the jungle for 30 years, right? Translating the Bible or something like that. And we'd say, so what's it like, being there in the jungle and snakes around you and you're learning this language? And they'd be like, well, it's really exciting. And they'd be really boring.
Yeah.
And so that's where I learned to direct. I'd say, sound like you care. And that's where I learned those skills.
Yeah. I've done some voice directing myself because I was a creative director in advertising before I became a screenwriter. And I find it so interesting what different people respond to.
Yes.
Because for some people, you can say your top note is here, your bottom note is here, like stay between that. And other people don't want any direction whatsoever.
Right.
And they'll show up and do a read. And I don't know if you find that there's people at I suppose, the top end of the profession who will show up and go like, well, here's what I'm doing for you. And kind of like, all right, I guess working at your level, you don't have to really deal with that anymore.
Well, like with celebrities, you find their it's like their language. Like what makes them feel like we're bringing the best out of them.
That's what I'm saying.
Where they feel like they're giving us what it's like we're respecting them to deliver what their talent is. Like we're hiring them for their talent. And my job is just to give them the context. So it's not me really telling them how to act, because that's why I hired them. It's just to say, you're in a well and you're shouting 30 feet up, go. And then they will create whatever that is.
Wow, yeah.
And then we can just kind of move them around the movie depending on what the context is.
So would it be fair to say that you don't see them as different skill sets, voice acting and acting?
I see, to me, the best voice actors are actors.
Right. Because I don't know if it's if my perception is correct, but I feel like there used to be more people who just did voice and that was their thing, like
That's
people
correct.
like Hank Azaria and so on, who were famous as character voice actors. Even going way back to like those early 2D, well, not the earliest 2D Disney pictures, but up until maybe Aladdin, it was still voice actors who played their characters.
Right.
And then Robin Williams did the genie, and it seemed like every picture since then has A-listers as part of the package.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it's done, and you almost can't sell a movie without that anymore.
Right.
Do you think that's kind of the moment that it happened?
It's really Aladdin and Lion King. Because with Lion King, of course, they got James Earl Jones, they got Whoopi Goldberg, they got Cheech Marin, and then, of course, Robin Williams. And before that, there would be
Rowan Atkinson.
Every now and then, Rowan Atkinson. Every now and then, like Oliver and Company. There was Billy Joel was in that, which is a lot of people don't realize.
I did not realize that. I was one of those people.
Yeah, you had like Bob Newhart in The Rescuers. So they would be scattered actors. But you're right. Most of the part, it was either voice actors or Broadway actors. Because of course, Jodie Benson in Little Mermaid was a Broadway actress. Paige O'Hara, Belle, was a Broadway actress. Susan Egan.
Yeah.
Broadway actress.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, but Lion King and Aladdin really did change that whole outlook.
And so then, of course, we also have you partly to thank for the enormous gift of bringing Hayao Miyazaki's films into the English-speaking audience. I'm one of the sometimes considered heathens who actually prefers watching the English ones.
Well, thank you.
Rather than the Japanese. And I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about, that process. I know John Lasseter was the one who kind of convinced Miyazaki to do the deal with I think the two provisos that he would get all the movies and that he wouldn't change much of them at all.
That's right.
So was that a big constraint, or would you have never wanted it any other way?
It was perfect. I can't even say anything needed to be even better. It was John Lasseter who, of course, Spirited Away won the Oscar. Then we were the top dubbing company in the world at Disney Character Voices. So we handled dubbing for all the features worldwide and all the Pixar films. In fact, I believe there was a time where Disney wasn't sure if they were going to buy Pixar.
Yeah.
Or Pixar wasn't sure if they wanted Disney to buy them.
Wanted to be bought. Yeah.
Like there was this whole, but one of the main reasons they wanted Disney to buy them was because of the dubbing group.
Huh.
And so, and I had the blessing of being in the dubbing group. And so John came to us and said, I want you to dub these next 7 pictures.
Wow.
And so included was My Neighbor Totoro and Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah.
It was a part of that 7. And it was basically, they set us up with Studio Ghibli. We'd work on the script. We'd do an adaptation of that script. And it was the same writers that did Spirited Away, the adaptation. And then I would cast the film. And then we'd direct the talent. And then do post-production and try to get our lip sync as tight as possible.
Yeah.
And that's what we did for the 7 movies, and we ended up getting an Oscar nomination for Howl's. So it was an amazing, I think we did it between 2002 and 2006, so about a 4-year period. doing 7 movies.
Wow, that must have been intense.
And one of the highlights of my life. I mean, it was just fantastic.
I can imagine to be immersed in those, just those images and that music. And,
right. And the actors,
and working with that quality
they
of acting.
loved it.
I'm sure, yeah.
You know, and, you know, working with Ghibli, they were just, you know, it was a precious group to work with, so.
Were they able to kind of let go and let you guys take the reins?
They completely
when it
let
came to
go.
English?
It was amazing. They just, their biggest things were in the script with the adaptation. We had some little bit of freedom, you know, just to appeal to an American audience. But there were times we wanted to change the story a little bit.
Oh.
Because to an American audience, the thing I've learned about Japanese films is they put these little tidbits in them where sometimes you have to watch the movie 30 times before you notice it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you notice it, it's so exciting. And I've heard that Japanese love that. Where Americans they're not patient enough. Or the English-speaking audience. They're not
I think
patient
there's a certain kind of, I hope it's fair to call them a nerd brigade that would be patient enough and have seen it enough times. But,
right.
But I see what you're talking about, yeah.
And so
for
the
whole
English,
pace is different in a Japanese movie.
Completely different.
Yeah.
So for the English versions, they said, well, we need to make it more obvious. Because no one's going to watch the movie 30 times, you know.
So that's where you would do some ADR.
And so we would do some slight rewrites, and Ghibli said no.
They said no.
We need to keep it with that mystery. So it was interesting.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of the biggest thing, was the scripts.
Because you did add a few things, I think. I think there was a line, for instance, of Chihiro saying, "Oh, look, a bathhouse," because an American audience wouldn't know what that is.
We had freedom with those kind of things.
Okay, cool.
It was
They would let you guide
mainly
sort of
story and plot is where we couldn't.
It's really interesting. One thing that seems like there was maybe a little bit of play is the age of the characters.
Yes.
Because Haku, for instance, seems quite a lot younger in the Japanese version.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if that has to do with the perceived need for some sort of romantic storyline in American markets.
Sometimes that's that way. Sometimes it's just the certain actor we want. You kind of, you know, because even in some of the ones like Whisper of the Heart, where it's, you know, it's high school kids. In Japan, you know, they might be as young as, like, you know, 12, 13. But, you know, ours are all sounding like, you know, 17, 18. You know, it's just a more mature person and the people we hired were like 24, 25. So it's like one of those kind of things,
right,
you know.
Right.
But they would give us freedom with those kind of things because schools are so different.
We do have, we've got a version of the kind of Japanese anime high-voiced character that, like, small voiced female. And anybody of my age will know what I'm talking about, because during apartheid we got a lot of dubbed Japanese content that was dubbed from Japanese into Afrikaans.
Right.
And it was always the same sort of 10 voice actors doing all these things.
Funny.
And they would also do Beverly Hills 90210 and Melrose Place, and they do everything.
Right.
And then on some shows you would get simulcast on the radio, so then you could tune in and hear the original
funny.
English. Yeah.
That's excellent.
Those were the days.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was probably my first introduction to any Japanese anime, was seeing it dubbed into Afrikaans.
Wow.
Yeah. What was it like working with Christian Bale?
Well, he was. So when I had to start beginning to work on Howl's, it was like I couldn't imagine anybody better for Howl than Christian Bale. And at the time, he hadn't done Batman yet, so he wasn't. He was kind of a indie film. You know, a lot of people loved him for some of his indies, and of course, you know, when he did Empire's Son. That kind of put him on the map, and then the Newsies. A lot of people liked him because of Newsies, but then American Psycho put him in that. That's where he had that indie kind of almost cult following, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if the Newsies was really of a part with the rest of his.
Well, the Newsies were more or less to get these other fans that liked him. So he had these kind of fan bases, but he wasn't mainstream. And Batman is really what put him on the map, big time.
Yeah.
And so it was really great because the timing was kind of perfect because he hadn't come out with that yet, and so the voice we use for Howl is actually similar, little bit.
I guess
it's kind of that.
I just think of that as being his voice,
you know? but
I know he's actually Welsh.
Yeah, but what was great about it is he would come in, you know, with his Welsh accent, and then he'd say, you know, so what would you like, you know, and then we'd find the voice, you know, kind of like this. Okay, great, and so we'd work, and then we'd break for lunch. And he'd still talk like this.
Yeah.
So the whole lunch he was in character. Hey, could you pass the ham sandwich? Right? The whole lunch. And then we wrapped, and he said, okay, we'll see you tomorrow. He leaves, comes back the next day. How you guys doing? Good to see you. Okay, we got back, he kept working, right? And then right when he wrapped, all right.
Just like that.
Just like that. Absolute pleasure to work with. Just, wonderful, takes direction well, loved the process, was never in a hurry, and he was perfect for it,
I totally would believe it, because during that time when his rant was in the news, he had
Yes.
I noticed he never broke accent during the rant.
And that's why.
So I totally believed him when he said, well, it was my character to get angry, and that's why I got angry.
And that's true, because when he was John Connor, he was in character all the time. Yeah.
So there's the evidence.
But what was so great about Howl's Moving Castle, he has that such cool persona. But do you remember the scene where he runs down the stairs because his hair dyed all weird?
Oh, yes. And then he becomes all emo. Out. Yeah.
He embraced that and just went for it. And he was hilarious.
And of course you had Billy Crystal playing kind of
and
Billy
to
a straight man.
No one was Calcifer but Billy. He was like literally from the first moment I saw it, it was like, it's Billy Crystal. It's got to be.
It must be so hard if you have that kind of improv-y style to still bring your own humor to a part that's already lip-synced.
Yeah. And he did it. And it was...
How did he do it?
And what was so funny about that was he was on Broadway at the time doing a play called, was it the 500 Summers? 300 Summers?
500 Days of Summer.
500 Days of Summer? No.
That's another movie with...
That's a movie. It was the one about baseball.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
It was...
Oh, yeah.
It was like 300 Sundays, I think it was.
Makes more sense.
And it was like the 300 Sundays that his dad and him would talk about baseball. It was something like that. And he was on Broadway at the time, so he couldn't record until like 8 months.
Oh.
But we had to deliver the movie like in 9 months. So we didn't have time to wait for the mix. We had to mix first, then record Billy, and then pop him in the mix, and then finish it, and then release it.
Wow.
And so the whole movie was done without Calcifer. It was very depressing. It was kind of dark and deep.
It is moody. It is a moody film, yeah.
And it was just kind of like heavy, right? And then we finished the mix, went to New York. I think we had 5 hours with Billy. And for 3 hours, he just joked with us. He just made jokes.
Over the script or just
he'd do a line and they'd look at us and make a joke and just goofing around. But then those last 2 hours, he was so diligent and we got it all done. And it was fantastic. We popped him in and all of a sudden the movie just came to life. Like you needed his comedy relief to, offset the moodiness of it all. The darkness and the heaviness.
Do you think that like one of the other key factors in people choosing to do an animated feature is whether they themselves are parents? This is one of Dan's theories.
I think so.
Yeah.
I do know that when, like for SEAL Team, one pretty big actor, we haven't announced the cast yet, so that's why I can't say a name, but he has children, and I think that's why the main reason he took the role. I think it was like, I want my children to see this. So I definitely think it's and even Christian was his wife was just about to have a baby.
That's right, like literally about to have a baby.
And he had to wear remember those pagers?
I do.
He had to wear a pager in case she went into labor. So he actually had it on during the session.
I wonder how she felt about that.
I know. But I always wondered if maybe that was part of his, I want to do a children's movie,
Yeah. Now he'll always be Hal.
And he'll always be Hal.
Is it? Yeah, I think I read that it turned out the premiere for Batman and Hal were across the road from each other.
They were exactly the same night. And it was so funny because he was so gracious. He goes, I really would like to come. But I'm tied up with, contractual...
You mean he didn't do a Mrs. Doubtfire and pop back and forth across the road into different costumes?
We were so hoping he would pop over.
Oh, well. Which has been your favorite of the Miyazaki movies? Is it hard to say?
I loved... Howl's will always have a special place just because of the grandness of it. And it was also an original to big screen. Because all the other ones were dubs of previously distributed films. whereas Hal's was new.
Mm.
So that'll always be special. And then My Neighbor Totoro was special because it's just so iconic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the Studio Ghibli's logo is the Totoro.
My little boy's room is in a Totoro theme.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, he's got
so
little
that's
sprites.
special, and I'll always have that.
Oh,
But Pompoko was this weird one.
okay.
So that's in my weirdest thing I've ever worked on category. But Porco Rosso was probably my most fun.
Okay, that's one of the stranger ones.
Which is strange, but it was just fun. And Michael Keaton was awesome. He just kept saying, "I just love being a pig." And then Carrie Elways doing a southern accent, and then Susan Egan being our French singer, and it was just Brad Garrett as the thug. I mean, it was just such a fun project. So, but they all have kind of different things. Like Cat Returns, it was the late Peter Boyle. We got to work with him. He was just incredible. And there's just there's all these little kind of nuggets in each one.
What do you kind of think about? Like, what's your sort of process in trying to decide who you're going to approach?
It's just I watch the films and it's like, okay, it's all about chemistry. It's like we need everybody to just fit. And like Howl's was so hard because Sophie was, what was she, 16 and then she was 80. But it was the same person.
That is difficult, yeah.
We were like talking, we're like, well, maybe we get like 16-year-old and then we get an 80-year-old. Or do we get someone who's like 40 that sounds young?
That can do both.
And what we ended up doing is we said, well, let's get someone older than high school, more mature, for young Sophie, and then let's get someone who's young, not 80, but younger, but still sounds older, but still has a youthful voice. And so then the search began, and it was like, I remember Gene Simmons from, all these great movies, The Robe and Spartacus.
Yeah.
And it's like, she had the perfect timbre. And I saw her in a movie, it was with Winona Ryder. It was like, I think it was about quilts or something like that.
How to Make an American Quilt.
I think that's what she was in that. And that's the one that sparked that she's perfect for Grandma Sophie.
Ah, yeah.
So then we chose her. And then I found her voice when she was like 20.
Ah.
And then said, who sounds like that?
Oh, very clever.
And Emily Mortimer sounds like that.
That's interesting because she's British, isn't she?
Right.
Yeah.
And it was perfect. And it was so great when the two of them met each other because it was like they were mother-daughter.
Oh, that's nice.
The way they just got along.
Yeah, Gene Simmons she's got a great sexy matriarch sort of voice.
Yes. And it was perfect for Sophie because Sophie's feisty.
It lends a lot of sprightliness to her.
Sprightly, yeah. And then it's the chemistry. So then it's the chemistry with Hal. And then I always look at it like a combination pizza where when you take a bite, you taste all the flavors.
Oh, yeah.
But they're distinct.
Yeah.
In one bite. And that's how I look at casting these movies. You want everybody to stand out.
Everybody has to be different enough because it's just
so
the voice that you're getting.
And that's why Pompoko was such a challenge because it's all about raccoons and there's at once there's 30 to 50 raccoons on the screen. They're all talking at once. So how do you make it so you can tell who's talking and you don't get confused?
Yeah.
And you're watching a movie, so you want to be entertained. You don't want it to be work. So my job, I felt, was to make it easier for the viewer to understand what was going on.
Yeah. What's the worst that something has ever gone wrong in a recording booth?
Well, I have a funny story.
Okay.
This one actor wasn't having a good time, and he was kind of grumpy. And we wrapped the role, and it wasn't very good. And so they left, and then we went into post-production, and we pitch shifted it down. And then it worked.
That's an extreme intervention.
And it worked. It totally worked.
Amazing.
And in the reviews, the people said that was their favorite character. And later I saw the actor.
I guess they would not have believed it was that actor, though, because it sounded so different.
No, it was... It sounded like they did the low voice.
Okay.
They still believed it was them.
Okay.
But when it was at regular pitch, it just sounded like the guy was mad and wasn't enjoying himself, which he wasn't.
True.
But what was funny
So you saw him?
is I saw him
her?
later, it was him, and he gave me this big hug and said, "Thank you. It sounds amazing."
No ways.
There's other times where sometimes you're told by an executive producer to use a certain actor, and you're kind of, you're using them. And sometimes it's because of an investor, and so you don't have a choice.
Right.
And so this was a big star actor, and they came in, and the first half hour was a nightmare. Wasn't working at all. And I knew we had to use them. So I just took a break, we had a meeting with the team, and said, let's completely change it, and let's just have them talk like their real voice. So they did, and it was fantastic.
Everybody goes home happy.
And it all worked great. Because sometimes that'll happen.
How was it working with Liam Neeson?
It was amazing.
Aslan's another character that's very close to my heart, so that must have been an interesting choice. Because that's a hard one to cast. It's like you don't want to be Mufasa because that's the other line everybody has in mind, and you're basically casting a deity. So
you are.
Tough choice. Yeah.
And what was funny is I was at Disney at the time, and everybody said just use James Earl Jones, it'll be awesome. And I said no, he's Mufasa.
Yeah, exactly. He's dad.
And so we thought, well, we probably want him to be British because, with casting, you think about actors who fits this, especially if there's a dialect. So we put together lists. Okay, who are the top British actors that we could bring in? And some of Timothy Dalton was fantastic. Gerard Butler, who even though he's Scottish, he came and read for it. So we went through all of our British lists and everything, and we were like 98% there. But it just wasn't like,
okay.
And Aslan had to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
And so it was getting down to about 48 hours before I had to deliver, and the director had somebody else in mind, so they actually flew to visit with them, but I had to deliver my choice to the director, like I said, in that 48-hour period, and it literally came down to where I'm feeling the pressure of the studio. And also, this is like a deity. And I literally prayed. I said, God, this is your voice. Give me some inspiration. I turned on the radio, and the first voice I heard was the voice of Aslan. It was the movie trailer for Kingdom of Heaven by Ridley Scott. I drove home, got home, ran in, looked at IMDb. It was Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson's Irish. He wasn't on our British lists. Because he's Irish. If I had thought of his name, I would have gone.
Of course, yeah.
And then what was great is we booked him for like 20-minute audition, and he did it for an hour and a half. He had never heard of the books before, but his family...
How did he avoid hearing about the books?
His family loved the books.
His family...
So Natasha Richardson, his wife, and his boys loved Narnia. And I guess they said, you need to read this. And his agent, and they set it up. He went to his mountain cabin, read it over the weekend. Came back and said, I want to do it.
Wow. I grew up with those.
It was great. I worked with them on the Lego movie video game, and we got to talk, and he said he just loves Aslan. He said, thank you so much.
Oh,
and I was able to tell him that story, too, because he had no idea.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah, he was awesome to work with. And then, of course, with Kumba, he was our Pango,
yes,
the leopard. So it was nice to have that connection now, my Aslan connection. I
never even clicked that he played two big cats.
Two big cats. But the key with Liam was his acting, because most of the guys that read for Aslan had a great big voice when they talked to the kids, and when they talked to the White Witch, they sounded like she was just condemned. Like, I want nothing to do with you. But Liam was able to talk with love to the kids and the White Witch, of firmness, but it was all about love for the kids.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I can see what
because everybody else was more lashing out at her.
Yeah. But the character's bigger than that.
But the character's bigger, exactly.
Well, they say in the books, even deeper magic from before the dawn of time.
Exactly.
I love that line.
And no one brought that in the audition except Liam.
Amazing. Just before we totally run out of time, I wanted to ask as well, since you've been around for a while, what's been the biggest effect of digital technology on what you do? Is it overall blessing or overall curse?
Well, for me, it's incredible. I mean, I'll go back to the beginning when I first got to Disney, and we were still getting cassette tapes as auditions. And, then, of course, that turned
so painful to deal with.
And you had to, when you try to forward wind to the next one, and you took a while, right? You couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they put out those machines that they would read the blanks. So you'd click it, and you'd wait till they got to it, and then it would stop, but it's still a process. And then, of course, CDs came out, and then you'd click to the tracks, and then MP3s have just revolutionized everything.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. And, of course, Pro Tools, I used to edit on audio tape with razor blades.
That's amazing.
And so now with Pro Tools, it's just like, boom. And then with animation, you go from traditional animation to now it's all done digitally. Yeah. And it's fantastic how it's revolutionized everything.
You would have met Robin Gilbert when he was working at Triggerfish, and he was saying how working with Mike Lee, he was just not interested in catching up.
Right.
And I think Robin had to sort of fool him on Topsy Turvy that he'd done a cut the way Mike wanted him to.
Right.
And only once he had the product could he admit, like, actually, we did this digitally and it's not so bad.
Exactly.
You get your purists, but it's
I
suppose on your side of things, it's just the convenience and the speed that you can do
it's
things.
Speed, convenience.
Is there any downside?
There's no downside.
Maybe that's a better question.
Not in audio. I think the only thing with audio is there's something about the analog that's beautiful. The sound of it.
Yeah. Are you an LP man? Do you
collect
vinyl?
I love LPs. I love vinyl. And so because of that, there's still this whole, how do I want it mastered? Yeah. But as far as the process...
And now you can just choose vinyl as your option.
You can, which is great. It's great to have the different options. But I definitely embraced the whole, whatever's going on, whatever makes my job better, I'm going to embrace that. I'm glad I'm not editing it with razor blades anymore.
Yeah, it sounds dangerous for one thing.
I mean, Zambezi, I edited the audio track on an airplane flying to Africa.
Wow.
I spent 20 hours editing on the airplane.
Amazing.
And you can't do that with razor blades.
You obviously didn't have a baby with you.
No.
That was my last international flight.
Oh, nice.
And now I know why parents just stare.
Yes.
And just lastly, I wanted to ask about working with South Africans. But, I mean, I know you guys have been working with LA Voicecast, and it's not since, I guess, Zambezia that you've had to do, or that you have done scratch with South African actors.
Well, Kumba,
Kumba as well.
We had the Springboks were South African.
That's right, and they stayed South African because they didn't need to be anything else.
Right.
They were perfect the way they were. But it's an interesting thing for us having such a lot of different accents. Do you think there's any hope for South Africans as voice actors in the international market? Yeah,
I do. I love the Springboks.
They were
great. That's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. And for SEAL Team, I just had a ball. I mean, we used some comedians, and they're so funny, and I kind of got used to the whole bro and the vernacular, and I think it's terrific, and they were hilarious. So I'm all for it. I hope we're helping encourage them and encouraging the industry.
You think they'll stay in the cuts? Or
I do.
Can't you say you think they will? Okay, cool.
And what's great is he's such a great director, but he looks at me and he's like, I want you to tell me with my U.S. ears.
Yeah.
We don't want to just have him in there just because it's South Africa. We want to have him in there because it's part of the story, and it fits the cast.
And it is a South African story.
And it's a South African story. And so it needs to make sense, because I'm not one who likes to do stunt casting where you're just shoving somebody in there just because you have to. No, it's because I want them to be wonderful and great, and I want South Africans just to raise up. So last time, or 2 times ago, I was here. I taught at Cape Town University. We did a voiceover symposium.
Oh, wow.
And then I'd bring the South African actors down, and we'd perform scenes from different Disney movies.
That's so cool.
And they were terrific. It was fun, just even, I've in the past worked with Sharlto Copley. And he's able to switch around with accents completely. But even as just his natural accent, I think is terrific. So
he kind of cemented that particular sort of Afrikaans accent as being the one that people expect when they speak.
Oh, is that right?
There's a bunch of us. I mean, 12 dialects.
Oh, okay.
And
wow.
11 official languages, and then dialects of those languages, and then
that's amazing.
Localized accents to go with it. Yeah.
Wow.
That's why we have a bit of an identity crisis overall. But yeah, diversity's fun.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for SEAL Team due on the big screen in 2021. That's all for now, but nota bene, if you're interested in attending Annecy next year is a good time to do so. Africa will be the focus territory in 2020, Submissions for the pitch focuses are open now. For more news and updates, sign up for the ASA newsletter at www.animationsa.org.